Well, this is the base where the President and the two Prime Ministers are going to meet quite soon. That's the band just striking up, rehearsing, getting ready to welcome them. This is the big handshake moment for this pact. And submarines like the one over my shoulder there, the Virginia-class nuclear-powered submarines, are part of all of this. Further down the line, these are going to be handed over to the Australians, and then newer submarines are going to be built for the Australians with cooperation between all three countries, and they're going to mean that there is a bigger presence in the Pacific trying to hem China in, keep China at bay, because the assessment of all these countries is that China is a growing serious threat. When they meet here, though, I suspect their rhetoric, it hasn't been so far, will not be too strident. There seems to be an echo here of one old president's line that you should speak softly but carry a big stick. These leaders don't want to provoke China, and some of their rhetoric will be softened a bit, but the stick here today, in years to come, gets, under this planning, a lot bigger. Rishi Sunak made the 6,000-mile trip to the Pacific coast to celebrate a new defence partnership with Australia and the United States, which will see Australia massively and expensively upgrade its submarine presence in the seas around China. But in agreement with President Biden, due in San Diego any moment, and with the Australian Prime Minister, these allies are upping their presence but trying not to poke China with rhetoric that risks encouraging the aggressive behaviour towards Taiwan, which they are trying to head off.
Anthony, great to see you. Yeah, it's an important day for UK-Australia relations with the announcement that we're making.
Aukus has been a lot of hard work, but it is in the three countries' interests.
As the three leaders prepared to meet in San Diego, in Beijing at the closing meeting of the National People's Congress, President Xi talked of building a great wall of steel around China and called again for the reunification of Taiwan with China. Rishi Sunak says the Australian submarine deal will boost UK defence jobs, but it requires more investment in the defence industry's capacity and costs £3 billion in government money over the next 2 years. Much of the other £2 billion announced in extra defence spending today is to replace munitions sent to Ukraine.
They've got an amazing collection of aircraft and helicopters on the deck.
While Rishi Sunak waited for President Biden to turn up, we spoke to him about the threat from China, which is spelt out in the new integrated review, updated only 2 years after the last one, because, the government said, of intensifying threats and volatility. Can I start with the integrated review and China and Aukus? Not to beat around the bush, what you seem to be saying with this decision that you're announcing today is that you have detected serious intent of Chinese aggression, most likely against Taiwan, with, as you say in the integrated review, global consequences by which we can interpret world war. That's what this is about, isn't it?
Well, there's a couple of different things in there, so let's just go through them. I think China, without doubt, is a country which has different values to ours, fundamentally different values, and it represents a systemic challenge to the world order, and its behaviour is increasingly concerning. More authoritarian at home, more assertive overseas, and in light of that, it is right that we are alert to that challenge and that we take the steps that are necessary to stand up for our values and protect our interests. And we've done that since I've become Prime Minister. For example, we've stopped investment in sensitive sectors like semiconductors, and will continue to take whatever action is necessary to protect the country.
A little later this evening, you're going to be standing side by side with the Australian Prime Minister, the American President. The attention there will all be on sort of jobs, money, investment in defence. But in plain terms, in plain English, you worry that China could be intent on an act of aggression, probably against Taiwan. That's why you're upping the presence in the Pacific, isn't it?
So, Aukus is not about any one country, but, Aukus is a very
China will see it that way.
No, Aukus is a very...
Who else is aggressive in the Pacific?
Well, hang on. Aukus is a very significant partnership. It represents an unprecedented multilateral defence partnership between three allies, Australia, America and the UK, to build the next generation of very impressive submarines that will help keep us safe. And they won't just be able to be deployed in the Pacific, they'll actually be able to be deployed anywhere in the world.
But you're shying away a bit from the Chinese, to mentioning China and talking about them as an aggressor. Is part of that you feel, actually, China might change? You might be able to divert the course of China. It's looking quite aggressive at the moment, but we could go back to, if not good Xi, President Xi, maybe better Xi.
So what our integrated review does is recognise the challenge that China poses very clearly, because we are concerned about its behaviour, and that's why it's right that we take steps to protect ourselves.
You hope to change it.
But we also say, actually, as does the American National Security Review, that nothing is predetermined.
Can I ask you about another bit of the global situation, the dangers that we're surrounded by? You announced, last week, the small boats plan that you have. But in the course of all of that, you and the Home Secretary talked about the 100 million or so refugees, displaced people, record numbers that the United Nations are talking about that are out there in the world looking for a home. You focus very much here on what some people might say is the sort of insular approach about Britain, for understandable reasons, but that's what you focused on. What about those 100 million? They're not mentioned in the integrated review. They'll be wandering around the world looking for homes. They could destabilise countries. They're an enormous global strategic issue, aren't they, that this country isn't addressing or thinking about?
So with the greatest respect, Gary, I really reject the notion of anything about our behaviour as being insular. This is, ours is a country that has compassionately and generously welcomed almost 500,000 refugees to our shores over the past few years, from Ukraine, from Afghanistan, from Syria, from Hong Kong.
Your 100 million number acknowledges a really big problem out there. What's the solution? Because Western countries don't seem to be getting more generous with the number of places they want to offer.
Well, the solution is to improve collective security everywhere, as we are doing, and to strengthen our partnerships with allies around the world. Again, there's nothing insular about an unprecedented defence partnership with Australia and America. I've just come from a successful summit with President Macron in Europe on Friday, and all of this comes on the back of another partnership we announced with Japan and Italy to build the next generation of our fighter aircraft. That is a Britain that is engaged around the world, that's making a difference, that's helping improve security everywhere, and I think that's something we should all be really proud of.
On small boats, you said that you were confident that this new proposed law would not fall down in the courts, but the lawyers told you it's odds on it will. I don't understand how you can be so confident when these clever lawyers, who presumably helped draft the thing, think it could well be a goner in the courts.
We've spent a lot of time to get this legislation right, and I believe it is the right approach to this problem. I believe it's fair. I actually also believe it's the moral and compassionate thing to do.
Why are you confident it's going to sail through the courts?
Well, you know what? People also people said that about our Rwanda policy. Well, hang on. People, exactly what you just said to me now about this, people said almost exactly the same thing, word for word, about our Rwanda policy. And since then, we have had a High Court judgment that was unequivocally in the government's favour about that policy. So all I'd say is that we believe that what we are doing is right, that it is legal, and if it comes to it in the courts, we will robustly defend it.
Some people, as you well know, think actually you're quite enjoying all the noise around this. You'll enjoy the noise and you'll look in shocked horror when the courts say you can't have this law, because it's slightly performative. It's about making a connection with the British voters. It's out of the Boris Johnson copybook.
I couldn't disagree with you more. There's nothing I enjoy about people needlessly dying because they're being exploited by criminal gangs trying to make crossings to the UK or other countries. There's no enjoyment in that. There's no enjoyment in the fact that our system is being overwhelmed by people, which means that we can't target our compassion and generosity on the people who most need our help, or the fact that we're spending £5.5 million a day on hotels to house illegal asylum seekers. There's no enjoyment in any of that. My job is to fix that. Right? That's what I promised to do at the beginning of this year when I made 5 promises to the country, one of which was to stop the boats.
Prime Minister, thank you.
Thank you.